Welcome to another edition of Community Spotlight, brought to you by Salem Radio Boston. With you again is Jeannie Grant. Duchenne muscular dystrophy is a progressive muscular disorder that causes the loss of muscle function and independence. It is diagnosed only in males and has no known cure. You can make a difference in the fight against Duchenne muscular dystrophy by attending Beat Duchenne, an important benefit full of family fun, food, music, raffles, and more. Beat Duchenne will take place on Saturday, October 3rd at noon at the Elks Lodge, 401 Main Street in Saugus, Massachusetts. All proceeds will benefit the Jet Foundation in conjunction with Massachusetts General Hospital. With me is David Pothier and his wife Kathy, not only organizers of this benefit, but have a personal cause in it as well. Thank you for taking the time to be on the show today.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Tell me a bit about yourselves. Let's start with you, David.
I grew up just north of Boston, grew up in Melrose, graduated Melrose High, attended UMass, Dartmouth, in the art program down there, graduated in 95, just stayed around the area, local guy, North Shore. Currently I work at Kronos Incorporated in Chelmsford, Mass. Software company, work as a web developer. Been there for 7 years now.
And Kathy?
I grew up in Connecticut, went to St. Anselm College. That brought me to the area, and I never left. Spent a number of years as an environmental scientist until I switched over to landscaping about 6 years ago, which is a true passion of mine. And I work for Garden Imprint out of Newburyport, Mass. I have a wonderful husband and 2 kids.
And how did you make that switch to landscaping?
I was very fortunate during the economic downturn of 2003 to get laid off, and I went to North Shore Community for Horticulture, which I had an interest in. I consider it very fortunate now because I definitely love what I do.
Okay. You organized the benefit Beat Duchenne. What made you decide to put together this benefit?
Well, our son Keelan was accidentally diagnosed last December. He was seeing a GI specialist at Children's in Waltham. They were running a test for celiac disease.
Which is a wheat intolerance.
Right. So they did some blood work in, I don't know, it was beginning of December.
Yeah, he was 15 months old, and the very perceptive gastroenterologist noticed that Keelan wasn't growing. And he thought that he had a nutritional deficiency. When he ran his blood, his liver enzymes were very high. So that was just an indication that something was wrong. When he reran his blood, there's an enzyme called CK, creatine kinase, which is secreted from the muscles as they break down. Everybody has a CK level. Normally, in adults, it's less than 175. In children, Keelan's age, it should have been less than 100, and his was 14,000, which showed that his muscles were breaking down and not able to repair themselves. So he referred us to a pediatric neurologist who took us at Children's 2 days later. And they did genetic testing, and Keelan, the diagnosis of Duchenne muscular dystrophy was confirmed in January. The genetic testing showed that he had Duchenne. He's skipping exons 42 to 46. The reason that it's mostly in boys is because it's transferred on the X chromosome through the mother. Usually with Keelan it was a genetic mutation, but that is why it mostly occurs in boys. Since they have the XY, they can't compensate like women can because we have the double X's.
Right. Since women have 2 X chromosomes, if they have a defect in one, the other one typically can compensate for that defect. So in Keelan's case, it's the deletion of the exons in the protein.
In the chromosome.
So
he doesn't make dystrophin.
So that he does not make dystrophin. The doctor that he sees at Children's, he probably described it best. The dystrophin, the protein, it equates to the steel belt of a radial tire. If you were to take that steel belt out of a radial tire, put the tire on a car and drive it, the forces from the car would probably just shred the tire. And so that's it kind of helps to cushion the muscle and hold it together.
What was the first indication that you felt like you needed to bring Keelan to get checked out?
He started early intervention actually at 9 months because he could only roll over one way. He was very late in some of his developmental milestones. He was a big boy at birth. He was almost 10 pounds, and he came very quickly, and they thought that he was just so big for a while, believe it or not, that he was having trouble developing his muscles. But we have an awesome pediatrician who said, let's start him in early intervention, get him caught up, and we had no indication that it was anything serious at that point. We thought he'd catch up. Really, it was when the gastroenterologist noticed that his growth had slowed and had stopped, actually, and did the blood tests. We had that indication. We actually had no thought of muscular dystrophy. My boss and friend had done the MDA lockup the day that I got the phone call. She had sent me a reminder over email saying, remember to donate to my cause today. And I said, wasn't that cured with polio? I didn't think muscular dystrophy was around. And I thought Jerry's kids had cancer. I had it muddled up with the Jimmy Fund and multiple sclerosis. And because it's only 1 in 3,500 male births that Duchenne runs with, it's not very common.
And just to note, the MDA lockup that she had done, the Muscular Dystrophy Association runs this. It's a charity event. Basically, they put you in virtual jail, and you have to raise bail money. So you beg all your friends to bail you out of MDA lockup, and it's all for a good cause. When we first found out that Keelan was diagnosed, a good friend of mine from high school, I've known for many years, got a call from the MDA asking if he would volunteer to be locked up for the MDA to raise funds. We literally just got word from the doctors that Keelan, it wasn't confirmed through the genetics, but the neurologist had said, we're 99% sure this is some form of muscular dystrophy. So with that, my friend Dave Lucas, he called me and he said, I got a call from the MDA. They want me to volunteer for lockup. He goes, I really would love to be able to use your names with Keelan. I'd do it for you guys. Obviously, it doesn't go to us, but he wanted to do it in our name, and it was a really great gesture. And he raised, I think he crushed his goal. I think the goal was like $1,300, and he raised almost somewhere between $1,500 and $1,800. So
there are about 40 different types, but there are really just a few major types of muscular dystrophy, and we've wanted to bring our focus more towards Duchenne muscular dystrophy because Duchenne affects young boys. It affects children, and it is 100% fatal. There's no cure and no viable treatment right now. So the prognosis is most kids are in a wheelchair by the time they're 10 to 12 years old. Their life expectancy is late teens, early 20s. At this point, you'll hear the rare occasion that they live up to 30, but the only treatment right now is corticosteroids, which have a lot of side effects as well.
I find it amazing that you knew just by him only rolling to one side that there was definitely something wrong. What are the symptoms of Duchenne muscular dystrophy?
At this point, most people don't get a diagnosis of Duchenne until children are between 4 and 7 years old. The symptoms are if the child is repeatedly falling, if they do something called a Gower's maneuver, as they get up off the floor, they kind of get onto all fours and walk up their legs. They are very easily tired. They can't climb stairs very easily. They can't run. They have kind of a waddled gait, or if they walk on their toes. Right now, Keelan, because he'll be 2 this week, he'll be 2 on Thursday, big man. His symptoms are falling. He falls a lot. He didn't walk until he was 21 months. He didn't crawl until he was 11 months. He is very easily tired, tends to just come over and lay down on your lap after maybe 15 minutes of activity. He has to take a lot of breaks. He can't keep up with his peers. He can't run. He can't climb stairs. But we feel very fortunate to have been diagnosed early so that we can arrange our lives and appreciate the time that we do have with him being mobile.
Okay. How did the benefit come about?
Beat Duchenne. I guess it was really right after he was diagnosed. I think it was just kind of a no-brainer for us, knowing that the disease is uncurable at the moment. It's very progressive. Treatments, as Kathy was saying, they use steroids, but the treatment, it hurts almost as much as it helps because the kids tend to gain a lot of weight, and weight on the muscle tends to make it worse. But so it was kind of a no-brainer. We kind of felt hopeless. It's like, what can we do? What can we do? What can we do? What are we looking at here? And I think what we decided was, okay, well, we need to just start. What we can do for our son is to raise money to help find a cure or treatments. I mean, there is a lot of great research going on out there. Boston is a great place for this research. There's a lot of great research going on in the area. Children's has a great staff. Mass General has a great clinic going on. There's some biotech companies out here doing a lot of great research, and some specifically in conjunction with some of the money that is being raised by the Jet Foundation. That's the organization that's going to benefit from the Beat Duchenne